Calling the meeting to order, 7:38. We would like to, we have no guests, but we would like to welcome our new trustees, Eva and Michael. Thank you very much for stepping forward. And thank you everybody for showing up. So we had a quorum at the Board of Selectmen's meeting last night. Everybody was there. Okay, so it's great. Wow. Wow. Well, thank you. All of those present here were there last night. Review of previous minutes is actually the June minutes because we did not manage to have a quorum since June. So if anybody does not have a copy with them from the last meeting, because I think they were ready last meeting. That's what I never sure about. Yeah, I don't think we do. Do either of you need?
I think I have it.
No?
I have.
Jake?
Sure.
So everybody can just take a look on those, note anything that's out of line, whatever. Just as something that may be a potential overnight. Still to be determined on the Corey check and our library volunteers. Did Joe follow up on that?
I'm not sure.
And I'm not sworn in yet, is that why I'm using it?
Yes, yeah, you weren't at the time.
In January.
Right.
He's moved for a second. Really? Still?
No, I know he's sworn in now. I found it actually got sworn in.
Eve, did you manage to get sworn in?
I did.
Good for you.
That was great.
Transition.
Yep. The town administrative assistant is extremely helpful.
You know what? I think I'm remembering this now. I talked to Ben Egan about the quarry, and the state form was in the process of being amended. So they were kind of waiting until that was ready. And then I think they were going to redo everybody. But I'm not positive about our volunteers, so I'll ask about that.
So have our librarians been done? Our staff been done?
They have been done,
Okay,
yes.
so
They
then
have
they're
been
gonna
done
do them
again,
again.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys all been done?
Wait, do you need to?
That was one of the questions.
That was one of my
whether we needed
questions.
to be Corey for things like book sale and. What is Corey? Oh, I can't remember what it actually stands for, but basically it's a criminal background check. So that if we volunteer at events where there are children present.
Children or seniors? Anyone who works with children or seniors has to have. Shows we have a record.
Are there any questions or changes on the June minutes?
So we're gonna look into that still?
Looking from. So most of this is pretty old news, basically. There's a typo.
Oh.
It's donated instead of donated. We're almost, it's under the director's report May, the last sentence.
Oh, yeah, and it's underlined.
Okay.
Oh, did you see that?
Thank you.
Under events, Ron Perkins donation.
Oh, okay. The right was spelled right, so I didn't check that. Michelle's name is misspelled under final words and comments.
Thank you.
Anything else? a motion to accept the June meeting.
So it's
Michelle, second?
Second.
Michael, second. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Directors' reports. We have June, July, and August to go through.
anybody need June?
I'll do July. Can run through these fairly quickly and world news at this point. There's a lot to get through tonight. So.
We're getting used to it.
What did you jump from?
2003.
That's a question.
Yeah, it's different.
Yes.
I think, tonight you said we do have a lot to get through, but I think in the future we should read these aloud for the television audience. Yes.
Are there any questions on the June minutes? Motion? Second. Sorry, Michelle, get a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
July.
So one thing that I did in July was went back and found 6 years of circulation and page visit statistics, which just shows that it's going up, 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 up. And of course, we have the same amount of staff, although we did expand our hours this past year, but 6 years of steady growth.
How's Amy working out?
Amy's settling in just fine. She's actually been running around, going to meetings in FBLC and circulation, getting up to speed. We had a cataloging training on Friday. October 1st. I'm going to make sure I mention that. That's just the pagement side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably confused.
Pam,
Yes.
on the building, on the outside of all of the building where your office is located, facing towards the cemetery, paint is peeling on there, and you, Richard, I thought you had said something last month about that. Are there any plans what we're gonna do about that?
Well, you know,
Winter and do something next spring?
Michelle pointed out that we should definitely have this building painted before the 375th anniversary celebration, which is 2014. And I think that that side particularly gets a lot of sun. I'm not sure how extensive the peeling is around the rest of the building, but the trim all needs to be done,
Right.
and probably much of the paint as well.
How would that, something like that be addressed and dealt with? So I imagine it'd be more than what Richard would be responsible.
Oh, sure, no, we would have to
We'd
hire
have to
someone.
contract,
Yeah.
right?
And we'll probably have to bid it out. It might even have to be an RFP, because I have no idea what the cost would be.
Okay. Is that something we do right away or
No.
when?
Well, we're gonna get to that,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
One thing on these July minutes, Pam points out that Christmas and New Year's both fall on Tuesdays and suggests that we close on Mondays, which is similar to what we've done in the past. It saves on heating and light bills, and basically it's probably going to be slow on those days. So, as long as nobody is opposed to that.
So can you repeat that, I'm sorry?
Being closed on New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve, which are both Mondays.
So we would then repost Sunday and Tuesday, both of those holidays. Does anybody have a problem? It's in line with what we're going to do this.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on the July minutes?
Well, were we going to talk about the computers? Is that where that falls?
Oh, they are on this one, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So, you want to touch on it?
This is August packet. For those of you who need a copy of the quote, it's on the back page there. PRS is a company that has an IT contract with the town of Raleigh. They built this network, they've been maintaining it for us, they've provided us with most of our hardware over the years, it's all custom built for us. And one thing I just learned recently, Janet mentioned we're getting a new catalog. We're moving ahead with it October 1st, and it's going to look a little different than it does now. If you want to preview it, on the bottom of the catalog page on the right-hand side, left-hand side, there's a little link that says Basic Catalog. So if you want to go ahead and look at that, a little early. But in 2 weeks, everybody's going to be using it. It does not work with IE8. And IE8 is the last version that will work with XP, which runs on 4 of our public computers. So there is some urgency to this. Keeping up. I think so, yeah. Okay. So IE8 is no longer supported, both by Evergreen and also I heard today by Google and Google Docs. Yes. We're now on IE10. You probably need to, you need to update your browsers if you're running an old one to use our new catalog. And we really need to update our computers. And I think the best way to do that is to repurpose our staff computers as the public computers. They're not as old as the 4 public computers that we bought when we moved in this building, but they're very, very old for what we need them to do for the staff.
Does this change the PRS, what we need from PRS?
No.
Okay.
No. It's just, it's more in line with our technology plan. We're kind of skipping ahead, but we're doing it for a reason. And Jared totally agrees that it's the best thing to do, and it's not even that much work to repurpose the old ones. It's a pretty streamlined process the way they've got the user groups set up to just kind of wipe them clean. And it's not quite plug and play, but it's not going to take up a lot of the labor, the extra labor fees of PRS, which is covered by the town. We buy all our own hardware, but their consulting services comes out of a centralized line.
So that would be 4 computers?
Five computers, because one of the staff ones is completely dead, and the other 4 just need to be replaced.
When will these be procured?
As soon as I know that they're funded, I will tell them to start building them, and it would be a couple of weeks, depending on what they have going on with our other clients.
Just in like a time.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure they'll be installed by October 1st. That might be a little too much to hope for, but.
No, the funding is through one of the
One of the
sources
discretionary
that has
accounts.
to go through the town.
No, the funding will come out of
Doesn't have to
usually our state funds. We
Right.
usually use our state funds
The
for
state funds, right.
technology. So that's what we
So,
talked about, right? Was the
Yeah, if anyone wants the August packet to look at the discretionary accounts, what's in them.
This is discretionary time.
So for the new folks, we have a town budget that's allotted to us by the town. We also receive, assuming that we meet certain criteria, every year we receive funds from the state, which are considered discretionary funds. They are completely at our disposal. The town does not administer them in any way.
I was going to go over all the funds when we get to that, yeah.
So we tend to use those state funds when we need to do technology upgrades or something like that. So. Does anyone have any questions on this proposal to replace the computers, shift staff?
I'm just curious about the drives. Like, they, this is just my ignorance, probably, but RW, they're rewrites?
Rewritable?
So copying utilities? Okay, and that's typically what we have out there now?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty standard.
Yeah.
They used to be read-only.
Yeah.
Now,
That's
rewritable
right.
has been common for a while now, yeah.
Now, recently, we increased the RAM in the computers.
We
right?
did. Those 4 computers that we're going to replace, we put more RAM in them.
Okay. So do the staff computers have the same amount of RAM? or
No,
more?
no, the staff, I believe, has 2, what do you typically have, 2 gig, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Didn't we go up to 4?
No, the public ones had like 512. They had really, really, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I believe they have 2 now.
These are gonna be so fast.
Yeah, they're.
They could use it.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I asked is just this afternoon, I was working on one of the computers, and I've noticed occasionally they do tend to get slow, and I've seen people complain. The man sitting next to me said that he recently had trouble and that he has started going to Ipswich to use their computers because he finds ours so slow. So I'm just really conscious of.
Yeah, you won't find these slow.
Yeah, you want to make sure that.
Processing for weeks already.
Well, these
Yeah.
ones here are going to be our staff machines. The staff machines.
All 5 of them?
Yeah,
All right.
are going to be
the staff
repurposed
ones
as.
go
But
out of- that's what
they're,
I'm
yeah,
saying.
they're running Vista, they have 2 gigs of RAM, they'll be fine. It's for basically internet searching, you know? Yes.
Somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Do you want that phrased? Sure. So that would be a motion to accept the quote from PRS Group for $4,475 for 5 computers, which will become the staff computers. Staff computers will be rebuilt for bigger use, repurposed.
Is he working on it?
Not till.
We don't have these yet.
Right, okay. So, okay. Does he actually come in and move them around? We do want plans?
Second?
Second.
Michelle second?
Did you say what account that was? Is that like that?
Probably no. Yep. I did not, sorry. Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Anything else in July? Did you want to touch on? Somebody made a motion to accept the July minutes. Sorry, the July director's report. So moved. Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Onward to August.
Does anyone else need an office packet?
Of August?
Yep.
So we finally got the shrubs trimmed.
Thank you, Richard.
Another thing that I've asked Richard to do is to turn around the sign out front because we want to
Exposure.
keep the UV exposure even. So it's time to do that.
You did
Did we do
spring,
that
right?
recently?
We did
September.
Was it? Was it really? Okay.
I mean, I can check my records, but I'm pretty sure I have in my mind that September is when we replaced that sign. I'll check.
Will he need help? I remember last year I stood under the ladder.
I would,
He-
if it were me on that ladder, I would want someone holding it, but I don't think he actually.
No, I went out there and he pretty much just swished it around.
Yeah.
Not much heavy lifting on my part.
I have a couple other building things that didn't make it into the report. One is just a question. Does anybody have strong feelings that the septic should be pumped every 2 years or every 3 years? I don't know about these things.
2 or 3. Have we
No?
Why not, yeah, 3 would
Three?
be fine.
Okay, then I think so. Then I think it's next year. I mean, nobody's doing wash or taking showers here, so that's,
Yeah.
you know.
It's true.
Or you might go on water.
Okay, and speaking of water, we talked last month about how we got a big surprise when the irrigation system got turned on this year because we have a new correct meter measuring our water. So it was measuring our actual usage and billing us for it, which ended up being $600 for the whatever 25 days that it was turned on. I guess we wait to hear from the water department if we get some sort of abatement for that. In the meanwhile, I was thinking it would be kind of a cool project and maybe a good model to set up rain barrels. And Jen, I was going to ask maybe if your brother might have some advice about that.
I can ask him, I don't know if he would, but I will.
I think it would be neat. I mean, we have the gutters. So I don't think it would be a big deal to set up the rain barrels themselves. I'm not sure how you would link it into the irrigation system. That would probably require some construction, but I think it would be a worthwhile undertaking.
Definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, worth investigating.
Can we have that done by 3/7? It'd be a nice rollout to be green.
I would think that, I mean,
Probably.
really, it's just
Yeah.
getting them and putting them under the gutters.
Yeah, well, we need to
Well,
plug it
yeah.
in.
Yeah, link them into the irrigation somehow.
Should be able to do it next time.
I don't know if rain barrels would give you sufficient water for the irrigation system.
Well, since we
We
can't
wanted to
afford
do
the
that.
irrigation system, you know, we can at least reuse the rainwater that we do have. Or maybe people think that, you know, we need to just find the money to pay the water bill. Maybe it's important to keep the grass green. I mean, is that a priority?
Given what we have budgeted for water, we're in big trouble with that, so.
It would probably be easy enough to do a cost benefit to find out how long, at what point we would pay off the rain barrels with savings from town water.
I always ask this, but do you know if any other libraries doing this?
I don't, but I can find out.
Or public?
And I think, I mean, we have Janet's brother, this is the field he works in, he can certainly give us advice. Also, I'm sure our landscapers who maintain the system could give us advice. And I think the water department would probably help us too. As far as, tracking down vendors or something like that. So we'll make some inquiries about that.
Anything else on the building?
Nothing else on building.
Can we schedule the carpet?
Other than the light in this room.
It's
The flickering light.
Yeah. Can you go and see, Sherry?
Pam, didn't you already send out an email with the days for the carpet clean?
Yes, and exactly 2 people responded. So,
When is
What's
it?
the date? I must have missed that one.
Eve's not aware because she wasn't on the email. She still isn't. When we have the carpet cleaned, and we do it every year, typically in the fall, we do it on a Friday when we're closed. They come in first thing in the morning and get it done. We leave the fans running all night, and by Saturday, when we open at 10, we're ready to go. In order to help facilitate this process, typically the trustees come in Thursday night, get all the chairs up on the tables, and move whatever furniture around needs to be moved in the areas that we're doing. And then the same thing Saturday morning, we have to meet here before the library opens to put everything back together. So I just needed, given that we were a little short-handed for a while there, I needed, some positive commitments before I went ahead and scheduled that. So we were looking at, what are the next 2 Fridays? The 28th and the 5th, I think,
9/28, 10/5.
were the 2 dates I was considering. It might be too late to get the 28th. I spoke to them on the phone, and actually I called to find out what the rate would be, and the rate is the same as it's been for 3 years, which is 18 cents a square foot.
Pam, I'm no longer available on the 27th.
Okay.
Well, actually, I could be. There's a meeting going on at the middle school for either on Monday night or Thursday, so if that's where you decide to go, I could be available.
And honestly, I mean, like 4 people would be sufficient. It would
What's
go
the-
really quickly with like 4 people.
What's the secondary area this year?
The main reading room, the big.
Oh, so it'll be
the
easy
big
this
room.
year then?
Yeah.
Really pretty
Remember
easy.
last year, John? It was exactly easy.
Yeah, yeah, this might be the easiest of the
Yeah, the
three.
children's room was no
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
To the best of my knowledge, I'm available either of those dates.
Me too.
Try to bring
Me
extra
too.
hands.
All right, so I will see if the 28th is still available. If not, we'll shoot for the 5th.
So the primary area is the children?
No, the main reading room.
Oh, okay,
Each year we do high traffic areas and 1/3 of the building.
okay.
So the cycle is the main reading room, the children's room, and then the 3rd year, the worst is all the nooks, so like all the offices, all the closet rooms, that's kind of everything else. And those, yeah, those were awful. We're like unplugging computers and,
If you can do that on the 28th, I'm available.
okay.
Just found whatever confirmations at morning to 6.
Okay.
Schedule all filled up since everything.
It's amazing.
You don't
how that
have to
happens.
for both necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a few hands at both, which would be great. That's okay, I think we're getting to it.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments on the August director's report?
Only a reminder that we have a state planning Thursday night, September 20th at 7 o'clock. Margot Work is coming in to talk about getting everyone's affairs in order. This is a continuation of the financial literacy program that we started in April, and this seminar is being co-sponsored with the Raleigh Council on Aging. This is number 4. And actually, Margot has volunteered to come back for a presentation in December on a Saturday.
Was there any thought of rescheduling the start thing?
I think we are going to try and do it. I suggested, I think, November 15th. And he didn't really get back to me, but it's an all-volunteer club. You know, I think they kind of have to float that date and find out if someone would be available. So I wasn't surprised to not hear back right away. But I think November 15th might be a little cold, but doable.
It's kind of expected at a start.
Yeah, they said they've suspended all start parties until either the first frost or the end of October.
Understand.
Yeah, I think it was probably a pretty good call. A lot of evening stuff has been canceled. And there was just today a human case in West Nile in Georgetown.
John, thank you for representing us.
Yeah. If you can make it there, we're having the check presentation at 11 on the Common, where the Friends are making the donation to the food pantry and acknowledging all the hard work our readers did over the summer. And then at 1 o'clock, John will be representing us for Rally History Jeopardy. We know he's cramming away.
Sunday, 9/23.
Sunday, 9/23.
The Jeopardy's at 1 p.m.
And that's in the Town Hall Auditorium.
Pam, Anna should mention to the story times on Wednesday that we're presenting the checks, since those kids are,
Yeah.
a lot of the kids who do the work. Do the reading.
All right. A motion to accept the August director's report.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. The budget report.
And I was going to maybe just, I don't know, I could spend a little more time on the budget for the sake of our new members, unless you find that self-explanatory. We do have a requirement. One of the requirements of our state aid is that we spend typically it would be, we would have to spend 19% of our operating budget on materials. But because we're open extra hours, more hours than we need to be based on our population growth is actually 16%. So that is a hard and fast figure that has to be spent on materials. It's not accurate to say it's hard and fast. There is some flexibility, but if we don't need the full amount, we also don't get our full amount of the grant. So that's the main thing. Our staff and our materials are our biggest expense, and then our utilities. Under building maintenance, the line that says repairs and maintenance, that $3,000 is in case, well, we're about to spend about a third of that on the carpet cleaning, which is always a risky thing to do, but it's an investment in our building. So that is just if something in the HVAC breaks. It's not allotted for any particular thing, it's just there for whatever might come up. And that amount has varied over the years depending on what the town budget was like. So we've often had to spend our building maintenance out of our other discretionary accounts some years. Unless you have specific questions, I think that's kind of a summary of our budget.
Does anybody have any questions on the budget? Sounds good. Motion to accept the budget.
What is the as-of date?
This,
Yeah.
it would have been Friday when I sent it to you.
Okay.
Move to accept the budget.
Second. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
I have a couple other kind of new documents relating to the budget. And I apologize, I only did this yesterday, so I didn't email it. But this, did I email it? Oh, okay, I guess I did.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know what I did. When I printed it, I put the wish list on the back.
Oh,
That's what's
now I
there.
don't have it.
So this is also the second page of the budget document, which is our discretionary funds. I'll just kind of quickly go through what they are, what they're used for. Donations is obviously donations. It's also lost books that get paid for, we then spend on more books. The revolving fund is for the copier, the fax machine, all those fee-based items, and that is renewed every year at town meeting. Library planning was to build a building. The MEG, municipal equalization, that's our state aid money, which you can see we've been banking for a while because we typically get about $5,000 a year. The public libraries fund is just kind of a leftover item. We can spend that on programming. And then there's the three LSTA awards that have all expired. Library commissioners was the building fund, and that's why it's highlighted. Is when I first got here, there was still a lot of work to be done in this building. We were purchasing, we were adding, we were changing, so that's where that money went. The Emerson Fund is from the Emerson family. It was just a large bequest that generates a good amount of interest. The Jewett Building Fund is a long time ago fund, and it's specifically for building. And then the Bishop Bequest is relatively new, and that came in last year, and it's specifically for expanding hours, equipment, and materials. So the reason, I kind of touched on last month that I was just curious to know how these funds had done over time, so that's why I did this comparison of a snapshot of 6 years ago and now. 6 years ago, we had the $20,000 in the building funds, which are gone, and we didn't have the Bishop Bequest, but, you know, they're building up, and that was the whole point of building up. So when, as Phil pointed out, the building needs to be painted, we have the resources to just do it, and, you know, we're pretty sure we're not going to get resources like that from the town. It would be pretty tough sell, I think, in this climate. So, with that in mind, I took the liberty of printing out our wish list, which goes back, I don't know, maybe last year we put together this wish list of sort of the things slightly outside of our budget that would be really advantageous to find a way to otherwise fund. And this, we certainly don't have to discuss this now, you know, I just sprang it on you, but please review the list and think about ways to prioritize, and possibly, you know.
In your opinion, what is the most important or primary if you were to choose, you know, one or two of these now?
Well, the building for sure. We definitely need a laptop. We really need a new website. These aren't in any particular order. They're in the order they popped into my head. I did ask Rob to prioritize them at one point, but I haven't run it by Amy because she's a little too new to really have opinions about that.
Can you describe Overdrive Advantage? I know what Overdrive is, but what's the advantage?
Overdrive, the way our Overdrive subscription works is all 35 members in our consortium pool their money. So, you know, we might have 4 titles of something popular, 4 copies of something popular, but there might be a waiting list of 20. Overdrive Advantage allows individual libraries to purchase more copies or more items that are then only available to their patrons. And it's actually quite controversial in the consortium because some people believe a consortium is a consortium and you share everything. But the libraries that can afford to make their waiting lists shorter are certainly going to do that for their patrons. Overdrive is ebooks, if you didn't know that. They're files that resemble ebooks.
How am I reading these?
Yeah.
What's with the Wii? Like a Wii to use in the library?
Yeah.
On the Mac? Oh, really? Make like a whole section for it?
Well, you know, we had, a few years ago, we had a teen initiative and we had a grant, and we, at the time, the Wii was brand new and there weren't any games for it. So we bought a PlayStation 2, which we also have, and we did a few programs with. But yeah, that's what it would be to have programs.
Do we have the PlayStation set that you can like reserve it in a room or something like that? Or
That was always kind of my intention, I wanted it to be available. And I was thinking the River Room, which
Right.
hardly
So
anybody goes into,
yeah.
you would just kind of have a reservation, come in, get the equipment, go in the room, play.
Okay. That's what I thought we had thought about, but I didn't
Yeah.
know if that actually
It didn't quite
happened.
work out the way that I thought it was going to work out. But that was the intention.
Okay. This is how much it costs. The Event Keeper online calendar museum pass booking, so that's what allows patrons to reserve passes online.
Yes, and I believe this is a yearly fee to
Okay.
license the software.
And what is the rental collection?
That would be, in our consortium, we do have to share everything. But if we were to buy multiple copies, for every one we buy to share, we can buy one to keep. So instead of buying one of the New Grisham, we could buy 4 of the New Grisham and share 2 and keep 2 for our patrons.
Okay.
And libraries who do this typically call it a browsable collection or hot hits or something. They typically have a shorter time period.
Not the typical 3 weeks.
Right,
2 weeks.
right.
Because it's a hot item.
Because it's a hot item, exactly.
So it's a hard copy version of the Overdrive Advantage.
Similar to
kind
that,
of.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I'm kind of on the fence about, because yes, it would make our wait list shorter, but at the end of 6 months, when everybody's read it, it doesn't do anybody any good.
Have we received complaints
For the wait
from
lists?
from people being on a waiting list too long and not being able to get?
I wouldn't say in general. I think there's, 1 or 2, but.
Right.
Okay. We can turn off the, yeah, we do this.
So we're getting the computers and cross that out.
questions about the wish list?
So we can't really vote on the wish list tonight because it wasn't really on the agenda, but please consider it for next month. We'll discuss it next week.
And then another document I just did up real quick yesterday. This is the one I didn't send. This is just a quick comparison. Oh dear, did I not make enough copies?
Do you got it yourself? Sure.
There's one in the packet.
Oh, it's in the packet. Oh, okay, it's in the August packet. That's right. People who have the August packet have it, everybody else needs it. It might be in the print packet. I think it's in the print packet and not in the online packet.
Okay.
Is that good?
But it's just a comparison of our utilities bill in the year since we expanded our hours on Thursday and Tuesday. But it's not really indicative of, I think, the true difference because this has been a ridiculously hot summer and a ridiculously non-winter winter, so we can't really go by this. We expected our natural gas costs to go up and they went down by 40%, so. Yeah, good parts of this.
Since hours were expanding Thursday from the 3 to 10.
We added 6 hours last year on Labor Day. And kind of projected what we thought that would do to our utilities bill. And I think we're still a little fuzzy about that because it was such an anomalous year.
Yeah, we haven't got into terms of the commission.
We have not. In fact, it made $500 of interest last year.
On top of what we had to spend for Thursday.
So again, for the new folks, a year and a half or so ago, something like that, we got an unexpected request for $50,000. And it was specified in the request that it was to be used for library materials, equipment, and expansion of hours. We've been trying really hard to expand our hours for a long time, so we used that to expand by 6 hours. Total.
6 hours.
6 hours total per week. And we're trying to make it kind of work within our budget so that we have to take as little as possible out of that request fund.
Basically because when the money runs out, we don't want to have to decrease our hours. We want to, at that point, go to the town and say, okay, you really need to fund these 6 hours. So we just want to be self-sustaining as long as possible before we have to go and have that discussion with the town. But they, they're aware that that discussion is coming and they're very supportive of figuring out a way to.
And we think that that will last us quite a while, actually, because it's not a huge change, really, as we're discovering here. But again, not a normal year. So we'll see what happens over the course of a couple. That was very captivating. I'm sure with that letter.
And you get a certified letter from a lawyer, and you kind of go like, uh-oh.
All right. That was still. No, that was the budget. Okay, so we're going through budget stuff. Did we accept the budget? I'm sorry. Erin, did we accept the budget?
We did.
Okay. All right. We have no old business on the agenda, new business. I had this with you last month, I don't think this one. Subcommittee definitions of assignments.
I have it.
Oh, last. We combined a couple of these.
And I went through today and took out people who are no longer serving. Yes, I've written everything on scrap paper. Sorry.
Mysterious stuff on the back and everything. All right, so these are the subcommittees that we have. Some of them probably need an extra person or two. They're down to not many people due to our turnover. If anybody sees a place where they feel like they can offer some help, speak up.
I'd like to be added to the policy and procedures manual. Since I'm working on that. I hope to have some small pieces of that that don't need much editing. next month.
The bishop request planning is kind of.
That's kind of defunct, although there are still, I mean, that could probably be folded into the budget, or it might just be the full board, but should we ever decide we want to, I mean, I guess we, at some point, we have to purchase materials and equipment, because the will said and, those three things, not or, one of those two things, so.
Is it time now?
Can it get folded into the outreach as a cost?
I don't know what would make more sense.
It could, because it's the outreach and special events committee that's been dealing with the shares request and everything else.
So we're looking to use, a small piece of it, or you certainly don't want to use the whole thing.
Yeah, because then it would have to be coming to the full board for budget approval anyway.
Probably, yeah.
So-
Yeah, that may just be the board now.
But they could decide on.
Yeah, this subcommittee really decided how are we going to expand our hours,
Yeah.
how much, and that nature. So yeah, they're pretty much completed their mission.
So again, anybody, if you can just read those over, new folks and existing folks, if you want to change your affiliations or join a subcommittee, you folks, let us know. In the meantime, Michelle has some stuff from the outreach committee that she would like to go over. I'm sorry, no, I don't. So I don't know what Joe's suggestions for bill paying and such signing to you.
Well, Joe checked with Sue Bailey, and she says that for payroll, the board can designate a single signer.
Payroll.
Yeah. Right now, every other week, I do either bills or payroll, and it needs to be signed by the chair. Oh yeah, you probably want to go to vice chair.
That's, I get it on the next one.
Okay. Either the chair or the vice chair and two other trustees. It used to be that I would send an email to all 9 of you and say, hey, whoever's going to come in, and then when I had my 3, I would send another email and said, okay, I'm all good. And then it was suggested that we assign by month, okay, you two are signing this month, you two sign next month, you two sign the following month. And that worked out pretty well for a couple of years, I think, so maybe we want to keep doing that. But the other thing we could do if we decide to is designate one person the official payroll signer. And I guess you would have to do also an alternate because that person may be on vacation or whatever. Or we can continue to do what we're doing.
Pam, so that's instead of having 3 people sign, just we would only need 1 person
For payroll
at
specific.
all. Okay.
Yeah.
Pam, you've also mentioned in the past that you would think it would be a good idea for one of us to learn how to do payroll, just to cover an emergency. So we should keep in mind that the signer should not be the same person.
Good point.
who's going to be trained to do the payroll.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'll volunteer. Are you looking for?
Well,
I'll volunteer to learn how to do the payroll. So if
it's-
someone else wants to be the
The alternate. Well, I can be the official signer and then we can back up.
yeah, because you travel a lot.
I can certainly sign.
I mean, it's
I'm in here
up to-
signing all the time anyway.
It's up
so
to you
it's fine.
guys, if you want to keep it at the 3 that we're doing, if you want to designate a person.
So you still have to have 3 signers for
Bills.
Yeah,
The bills
for
we still need
the
3.
bills, we'd still need 3. Although, that is also decided amongst yourselves. You can change that whenever you want. And apparently all the boards some have a quorum, some have an arbitrary number, like we have 3.
Well, if we're gonna do 1 on payroll, what about 2 then?
2 on payroll?
No, so you're gonna do the 1 on payroll, do 2 on the others. The bills.
Well, I have to sign the bills.
And then-
Or is that our rule too?
Also, I can initial them, because I prepared them. That was it. news to us.
Okay.
But if you, I mean,
I'm doing it.
I think it's good to have another set of eyes
Mhm.
to catch any errors, yeah.
Well, I'm fine with continuing to sign either or both. In addition.
Okay.
So.
So do we need to make a motion?
So any changes would need to come from, by a vote, yeah.
Okay, so, who's voting on payroll?
I think so, yes.
Is that actually in our policies and procedures?
I have to check, I'm not sure.
So before we make that change, let's check and see if it's policy and
Okay.
procedure change or not. So in the meantime, we'll continue as is. Whose turn is it to sign?
I don't know.
One of our primary responsibilities as trustees is fiduciary, and it was already established for payroll, the way we're currently doing payroll and bills. I'd really prefer to keep it the way it is, rather than reduce the number of signers.
Yeah.
I know it's more convenient, and that, on one hand, makes sense, but if something was to happen down the road, we're all gonna start pointing fingers. And it's better to keep it that way, and realizing when it's our turn to decide, we have that responsibility to make sure there's no error there, even though we may not be able to catch it ourselves.
Mhm.
Has it been a hardship for you to get us in?
No, I feel like I'm kind of a nag sometimes.
I've never felt like
Oh,
that.
okay, I don't have a problem with emails reminding us.
All right.
Never.
So,
I always feel bad when I can't, but someone else can.
All right, no, I'm trying to lighten your load. So
we'll leave it as is.
Keep going as is, okay.
do you want to discuss your meeting with Deb about future staffing changes and addressing shortages? And
Probably the simplest way to do that is to share with you all the letter that I sent to Bob Snow, who is the selectman representative to, why do I not have the- I guess, because I was prepared to discuss this 2 months ago when there was only 5 of us. I guess is why.
do we need another one over there? We have shared.
Sorry. So basically, when Rob left, I was very dismayed at replacing this position for the 3rd time in the 7 years that I've been here. We've also gone through 3 youth services librarians, and it's because it's really hard to keep someone when it's only 20 hours a week. So I asked for a meeting with Deb Egan. We talked at great length. She spent over an hour with me about all aspects of the staffing of the library. And she, as I said in the letter, called the meeting eye-opening. She just had no idea that we were as short-staffed as we are, because our staff is so great. They don't let on that they're absolutely stretched to their limits. So it's a long process to go through the personnel board, et cetera, and find, a funding solution. But we just started the process of really letting the town officials know that it's not a sustainable situation that we're in over here, that, we really need to expand these positions. And on the back of the letter is a chart that I did, because before we posted the position, when we hired Rob, I polled our neighboring libraries to find out how they handle adult services. It's almost always 2 departments, at least. There's circulation, there's reference, there's technical services, and then there's often outreach. And even small libraries manage to have at least 2 people, if not 3, not necessarily full-time, but 28, 30 hours a week.
Still more, yeah.
Yeah.
What would outreach be? Is that a program?
Programming, yeah. And also, maybe reaching the underserved. So I was trying to document, that really we are extremely understaffed. So we're just at the beginning of that process with the town, hopefully expanding these positions or adding more positions.
Great.
Thank you for getting on that.
Well, you can see it's dated July 3rd, so I don't know how, it's.
Well, we'll need to follow up
Yeah,
again.
yeah, and even Deb said, in the middle of a budget year, you don't really know what you can do, but we need to get the conversation going.
So has a meeting been scheduled?
No,
Okay, okay.
no.
Okay.
And I apologize for not having any copies of that. Like I said, I think I was prepared to discuss this at our last meeting when we could barely get a quorum.
We couldn't get a quorum.
Okay. I'm going to forward to the two new folks an email from Cam about an ethics commission advisory and fundraising by municipalities.
I have it right there. I don't know why I brought it. It's a 7-page legal opinion.
It doesn't really directly
I don't think it applies to us.
us, but I want you to have it. Michael, what was your email? I'm sorry.
What?
Your email?
Email address. Oh, livewire 2423.
2423
Yeah.
at
AIM.com.
AIN?
AIM.
M. Oh,
Yeah. I'm old school.
Also,
If it gets
Ian,
named, then it's not
because of the
changed.
open meeting law, we did not discuss
You are.
anything in email other than dates, times of meetings, announcements. I need help with the carpet cleaning, but we can't, like, when I send you this, you can't, come back with an opinion, or it just, everything, it wouldn't be an open meeting if we were discussing it anyhow.
Okay, I just forwarded that to you. But does anybody else have any questions on that?
Yes, I don't think it really is heavily applied to us, but
I don't think it will.
Okay, good. Moving on. Now, Michelle, you would please.
John and Scott and David Masher, who has resigned, and I are the outreach committee, which handles different programs and some requests as they come in. We've had some requests that we've had for a long time, and we've been having trouble reaching quorum, just like the rest of the board. So as time is of the essence, I've just decided to see if the board as a whole can make these decisions, since the outreach committee just proposes to the board at large anyway. Doesn't save us a little time. So the first request that I want to talk about is was donations made in memory of Ron Perkins. We received between $900 and $1,000, and his family has indicated that they would like to see that money used for young adult programming. When Rob was here, he and Pam and I kind of kicked around what kind of program we might have, and we decided it might be a good idea to do a creative writing program for young adults and try to have some workshops, maybe have some teachers come in, maybe pick a specific topic, poetry, short story. College essays. Rob did some research on graphic novels and found some really cool software that you can use to make graphic novels. Or maybe, it's just a year-long project on creative writing, and we touch on all of those topics. But before we got too far down that line, I wanted to suggest it to the board and see if the board agreed that that is how we want to use the Ron Perkins request money. What we would do is build another committee, one that would include educators, people from probably Perkins' family, and staff to build the program. We were hoping to have kickoff be either in September or October. Now, hopefully we can get it out just as soon as possible. So, let's see if anyone has any opinions on it.
This is just curiosity, but were young adults expressing an interest in a program like this? How did that work? Were they surveyed?
Last April, her main board was really trying to do a lot with young adults in poetry, because April is Poetry Month. And she I think that she did do some great things in the children's room when she found that we don't have a lot of poetry in the collection for young adults, and it's kind of what started the conversation. Maybe using some of that bequest money to build that part of the collection. And then, of course, it grew because we'd love to have programs that actually have people come in from Perkins, and was very active at the library with his granddaughter. And then Michael came along and said that he would love to do a poetry slam here. So it just kind of, I think poetry is where the focus started, and then in talking with different people, Rosemary Herbert is one of our librarians here, and she has great ideas. So no one has requested that kind of program, but I think that we found a need at the same time that we found some resources.
So could we actually, we are planning for December, could we kind of use that as our kickoff?
We
It's
could.
already September.
I guess we were thinking it would be for the whole school year, maybe
Right.
have a little something going on all the time, but I think that's probably, yeah, gives us a good amount of planning time.
When do college essays due? When do college applications turn in? Early in the year usually, isn't it? Before March?
It was like
Yeah,
early,
the common apps like February.
February?
Yeah.
So we're tight to do a
Well,
college application like that after this year.
Yeah.
Those are miserably red junior, is that a problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it could certainly go from, December around to the next year.
Right. You could maybe start with the kids that are applying next year. Right. I do like that idea, just as a practicality. But definitely the creative writing, I think it's key, poetry, that stuff would be great too. We're not gonna know unless we try. If it's gonna be fun or not. So.
Right, and what I'm suggesting is the creative group to figure out what this looks like, because there's so many different ways it could go. So, I guess I'm looking for some flexibility in what it looks like. Maybe it's all poetry, or maybe we have, roll out some college essay, short story.
Screenplays.
Rosemary talked about journalism. So, I should also mention, and this is kind of getting ahead of myself, but for the 375th anniversary, as we think about what events we might want to have in regards to that, I also thought we could take a small amount of the Ron Perkins money and create an award for photography contest, whether it be for young adults or for open to everyone, but use a small amount of that money and have the Ron Perkins Award for photography of Rowley.
It's always seemed a little strange to me that spending some money on programming means we won't have like a plaque in the building somewhere that says donated to Ron Perkins. Maybe we could do something similar to what they did with the 9/11 memorial, where they had a poetry contest and engraved the poem. You know what I mean? It's like either the photograph or a poem or a painting or something stays in the building.
If we have to see the photograph, we actually stay here.
Both the poem and the photograph of Rowley. So if there's no other conversation, I'm ready to make a motion. And for those of you who weren't here last week, Pam had some information on new interpretations of the open meeting laws for subcommittees, and that the subcommittee is working, if Pam has the authority to do whatever the subcommittee is meeting on, they're not subject to the open meeting laws. We wouldn't need to have a quorum.
Yeah, it just
Which is
becomes
really
more of a working group.
Right,
Yeah.
which has really handcuffed us, and we haven't been able to do anything this summer. So I move that we authorize Pam to produce a creative writing program for young adults using some or all of the funds donated in memory of Ron Perkins with the advice and assistance of the Outreach Subcommittee.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And I think too, if was hard to schedule a meeting because we had to post it 48 hours in advance. And I would, you know, I would email the people and say, when do you want to have a meeting? And people were just honestly kind of non-responsive, like I wouldn't get a commitment, so I couldn't post anything. So then another week would go by, and then, you know, the whole summer passed us by. Partly because 2 of the 4 members on that subcommittee were, you know, either resigned or not responsive. So if anyone feels like they would like to help plan a year's worth of team programming, please feel free to join that working group.
And you don't really have to join the subcommittee. You can
Yeah,
just
just
do, obviously.
Yeah, just help.
So,
As a member of the community.
I'm thinking like.
Okay, our
some
second
other things.
request, yes, the second request is money donated in memory of Michael Shares. In that case, we have received over $700, and that money has not been directed.
We haven't spoken to the family yet to see what, if they have, you know, preferences towards how we utilize it.
Right. And again, in conversations with Pam, we were thinking of using the funds to purchase as many ebook readers as we could for circulation. And
We
again,
need
we would,
to speak with his family before we make any decisions, I think.
okay, then we can table that.
On these 2,
Sorry.
on these 2 items you just brought up, where are these monies reported? How do they?
They're in our
catalog?
donation account.
In the donation account. So the donation account is just the sum of everything, and you have it someplace individually, what is what?
Yes, I have a record of all the donations, yeah, as
Okay.
they've come in. Yep. I think, I'm sure they were in my reports at the time as well.
I remember the Perkins one, but just when I didn't recognize the name.
I think this was in one of your director's reports. This isn't, well, let me come back to this one. As you all know, Rowley's 375th anniversary is in 2014. And there's a committee, the town has a committee to discuss what will be done to celebrate that. And then separately, we should think about what we want to do to celebrate that as a library. And one thing that I think a lot of people have been begging Pam to do, and this might be a good opportunity to do it, is to do, like Rowley reads one book, a community, I'm trying to think how it's been described by other libraries. Basically, they have one book. The community, it's like a community-wide book club where everyone reads a book. There's different events at the library, contests at the library, either based around the book or the theme of the book. A couple of years ago, Ipswich did Dark Tide, which is about the molasses flood in Boston, like they had a molasses cookie competition. They also had tours of the North End and things like that. So, but as Pam advises, they're very expensive and they're a lot of hard work. So you kind of need to get started early. So we should probably decide now if that's something that we want to pursue as a group. And if we are going to do it, how are we going to fund that? We could get an LSTA grant like we used for the Discovery kits, or we could pay for it out of our donation fund if we wanted to allocate that.
Or any of the
large.
funds.
Right. We could do a combination. We could ask the friends to pay for a couple of them. Pam, do you want to talk about the pros and cons of an LSTA grant?
Well, an LSTA stands for Library Services and Technology Act. It's federal money administered by the Board of Library Commissioners. There's a grant round every year. You write a letter of intent in December. You typically go to a workshop where you learn a little bit more about the grant experience, and then you write your grant. I think they're due in March. They tell you in July whether you are awarded the money or not, and then it goes on the federal fiscal year, which is October to October. Once you have the money, you have to sign a gazillion contracts. You have to write 2 reports. You have to track everything. You have to document who's affected, how they're affected, what outcomes they're affected by. And I know many library directors that don't do that because it's free money, but it's a lot of extra work. And you can sort of write that in to the grant, you know, to your proposal. But it's yeah, just a lot of work.
So you can write it into your proposal, but then you actually have to supplement that or provide actual statistics and data after.
Yes, and not to mention, you know, keeping track of your budgets and where and what everything's been spent on, but all your statistics, you know, attendance, participants,
And it's unique participants, right? So we can't say like 50 people came to this event and 50 people came to that event. If there's 25 that may have come to both.
yeah, they're not all as strict as that.
Is that something that we could in any way do as a cultural council grant? So it's not
Probably, of course, you know, probably like one event, yeah, could come from the cultural council. Cultural council is, I think every town in Massachusetts has one, although they might not, it might be a voluntary thing, but the Massachusetts Cultural Council awards money each year to the local cultural council, which then, it's also a grant. Typically the senior center, the schools, arts organizations, libraries, write a grant proposing some cultural event. It could be a concert, it could be a show, it could be anything.
Has there been any topic discussions?
Just gonna say, we really kind of need to outline it and create a budget for it before we even know how much we're asking for.
I will say that typically an LSTA award for one community project is $7,500. And that covers, you know, multiple copies of the book, any author stipends, or, you know, when you have come and do a program, you get a stipend. I'm not sure what other expenses you would incur for something like that.
Yeah, so we got the LSTA grant for Discovery Kit. That was one of the
That what?
Was that a board vote or was that?
No,
You guys
no,
just-
staff just did it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. And I think that I'd like to help out with the outreach committee.
What do we do with all copies of the books?
There's quite a second market of, if anybody's reading, da-da-da, the next community that does that book.
You send them
Like
what's
if we wanted to do our time.
Right.
Yeah, well, they've probably been given away a long time ago, but,
For example.
yeah. And typically, I mean, you might say you buy 50 copies for the library, but you'd also buy 100 copies to leave around town in various places for people to just have, swap, share.
Certainly the COA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we need to decide tonight in order to get this going? Because it does take a long time to plan this.
Well, I think that if we want, what I was hoping tonight is that we can vote to kind of move forward, and as you mentioned, it needs to be outlined, we need to come up with a budget, and I think if we decide to do it and pick a topic, then we can kind of make events that would fit whatever budget we have. I mean, obviously, if we have $1,000, we can spend that, but if we get 2 or 3. So I think we're not going to do a bad job at that if there's no money, obviously. But I think where we fund it from is secondary to whether or not we want to do it. So I have another motion prepared. Just to make sure that that we're not, again, that we aren't the bottleneck to Pam doing what she needs to do at the library.
So before we do that, are there any
Yeah.
other questions on this? Any other? No? Okay.
I move that we authorize Pam to create a townwide reading, events, and discussion program to honor Riley's 375th anniversary with the advice and assistance of a special committee. The committee should include various members of the community and be created with the advice of the outreach committee and the board of trustees.
Wait a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Any opposed? Okay. And I need your.
So I think the first step is recruiting those members of the board and the community. I've spoken to Bob Mary about it, because it would be nice to somehow have the book or the topic that we choose be related somehow to something in Raleigh history. I know there was a textile-based, aspect of our history.
What's John's?
And that might that might be a stretch. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I did speak to Bob Mary about, maybe helping select a topic and/or a book.
General knows what she's talking
So maybe Raleigh Jeopardy will give us some good ideas on that.
about. So
And-
are you going to work on those volunteers?
Yep, I'll work. The last thing that I want to talk about, I'll talk about more, but the last thing I have to bring up as part of the outreach committee is a staff appreciation luncheon, which we've been talking about for a while. This Pam requested, since the staff has really been doing tremendous work, as she showed us in the statistics, the library's getting busier and busier, hours getting longer and longer, and they just keep doing all the work and providing good service. And she requested that the board have an appreciation lunch for them. And we had done some research in how that could be funded, whether or not it would need to or could be funded by us personally. We found that it could be. But then Pam also found that we could expense meals and
I
beverages.
sent a document at one point that I got from Superior Town Accountant on what, as far as food, can typically be expensed with municipal funds. And anything that we decided to do would come out of the donation account anyway. It wouldn't come out of the operating budget.
So I wanted to talk about that and see if we could finally decide what we're going to do and when we might do it.
Just historically, anytime we wanted to serve something, we've either gone to the Friends and asked them to pay for it, or we've kind of done a potluck thing where everybody contributes a little bit. And I guess Michelle and I were thinking that, like a potluck, everybody contributes, but we could just ask everybody to contribute cash and do something catered, or a more organized potluck. Or we could use donation funds, apparently. And another thing that I thought about as far as food is that it would be really fun to have refreshments for the public, say every Saturday in December or around holidays, not all the time, but every now and again, just have coffee and refreshments out here in the lobby. And that is also, I've found, a legitimate expense because it's for the public. When it's for the staff or for individuals, it's more problematic, but if it's for the public, municipal money can be used. But that's an aside. That's not to distract from. That was just in doing the research for can we expense a staff luncheon.
So I know different groups of us have talked about this in the past when we have it in forums, but does anyone have any opinions on this that you maybe already shared? Or
Is there
a
a day? Is it going to be during the day, the luncheon?
Probably it's like a Saturday after we close. So it's here too.
So it would be in this room.
Okay, so it wouldn't be during like open hours.
Right.
Because we want all staff to be able to.
And remind me how many staff altogether?
14?
Okay.
Okay, 15?
So if it were catered, do you have an approximate amount?
Nope. Didn't get that far.
So what do we need to do to move forward with setting a date?
I mean, I guess just, does anyone have strong opinions about when it could be?
Or if it should be?
If,
You said
how,
last Saturday, right, because you're obviously busy on Saturday.
Jack, you better, yeah.
I'm just thinking about, you know, chili cook-off. I don't know why already, but it's-
No, we're planning it.
things are coming up that I'm wondering if it can kind of be combined with like a holiday thing too. I don't know. You don't want to take away from the purpose of it though. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud.
Well, I guess first, does anybody have any objection to doing that? Okay, so we're pretty sure that we want to move ahead with doing it. So the options are catering it, cooking ourselves, or what?
or some combination
Or
thereof?
some
Yeah.
combination thereof, okay. That's what I best. What's that?
Combination might be best.
Yeah, combination. Does somebody want to look into what that would look like? Or what it start to cost it? I mean, if it's gonna be a staff appreciation luncheon from us, then probably we're expected to be there. So now you've gone from 15 folks up to 20 plus. Were we planning to ask anybody else, or was this gonna include volunteers?
I mean, I don't know if we talked about including the friends, just as like a party aspect of it, and maybe contributing. I don't know.
Well, that's obviously going to push out time a little bit, because we have to wait for their next meeting and ask them for a contribution. Their next meeting is October 9th. We could push it to November, I suppose.
I don't know, November, you're getting into like family stuff and holidays.
Right,
and
and that's the
travel.
problem with
Yeah.
going to the Friends at this point is,
Well, the friends are also a lot more casual. They're not bound by the open meeting law.
They can vote via email.
mhm.
So this would be at 2 o'clock, it would be at 2 o'clock on a Saturday in October, and I will leave soccer. We could miss soccer.
I can.
I don't have soccer. So next steps,
Can we email the friends and just get a feel for their desire to participate or not?
we can do that. I will do that.
And Pam, you had spoken to the staff about when they were available, but that was when we were thinking this would happen in
Yeah,
August or
yeah.
September.
When we started planning this, Rob worked here and Rob had another job on Saturday. So we were originally thinking on a Sunday, but I think a Saturday is better all around.
So should you check in with them as well? Because the most important thing, I think, is for as many of them to be there as possible.
And honestly, I'm not sure, that the pages would come. I'm not sure I even have a way to check in with all of them as far as availability.
All right, I will email the Friends. I guess we can ask them generically if they're interested in participating. But we do need to determine a date.
So if you work on the Friends, you work on the date, I'll work on menu and budget, or some combination of.
Okay, but is that going to have to wait until the next board meeting, which is the third weekend in April? Third
Well, I don't-
Tuesday in October, I mean?
If we
Where
use,
that came from. What time is it?
if we use donation funds, it will, because we'll need to vote to use the donation funds. If we decide to do it through a combination of personal donations, or just
not even donations. I mean, if we want to do it ourselves personally by either bringing food or, you know, making a contribution for someone else to make something or purchase something, then we could just agree to do it, and then that's possible, right? I mean, that's a
Yes.
personal thing that we're doing.
Yeah,
that we're doing.
yeah, we can certainly plan the details of a menu on email. But if
But if
But
we're
if
using
you want to
library
expense
funds to do
anything,
it,
I
we
think
need
you
to-
should, you know, discuss that now.
Well, can we allocate funds now?
Up to an amount.
Yeah, so
We can say up to an amount, if we have any guess as to what that amount.
Well, couldn't we do a reimbursement? After the fact?
Yes.
Or somebody would be taking a risk if we're going to vote to reimburse them.
True.
And we may have to do that too, you know, we might not get an invoice, we might have to
Right.
like,
Use the receipts.
yeah, turn in receipts.
So if someone's willing to take that risk, we could plan this, do it, and then just vote at the next meeting to reimburse.
I think so. That's what we're going to normally do.
On the other hand, one person couldn't spend more than $50. Or else it's.
So I guess the allocation now
This really shouldn't be listed.
We just sort of are-
Not easily, no.
So is it necessary we have to do it in October instead of wait till maybe March?
I was gonna say, we may have to make this.
It sounds like, you know, because of the summer, it sounds like now they're trying to throw something together really fast, and it doesn't seem like we really know exactly what we're doing. And there's some things that apparently needs to be done before we put this together, and it's starting to look like we're just throwing stuff together. It may not turn out as good as we would like it to be. It's maybe better if we just give ourselves a little bit more time. Unless it's something that actually needs to be done by October. I'm not aware of it.
Well, I wanted to do it this summer.
Right.
That obviously. I would absolutely agree that we don't want to put it through it together. You know, we want it to be something kind of well for the staff.
You could certainly make it a holiday party and, you know,
I was wondering, December or something like that. Does that make sense to folks? Early December? Holiday theme. So, but that gives us time to wait till our next meeting to have an idea of how much money we need to budget.
The first is the Pine Grove Craft Fair, which may or may not have any impact. The 8th is the first day of Hanukkah, which again, might not make a difference. 15th is, there's an event here there's an event in this room from 10 to 2.
I think that's where we'll change over.
What was the 8th, Michelle?
It's Hanukkah.
Brownies in here, we give the other Saturday.
Is that what's in there?
No, the 15th is the day that Margot Berg is doing, from 10 to 12,
that's-
Margot Berg is doing her estate planning, and then from 12 to 2 is the Friends Basket Raffle Draw, which hasn't really been advertised, so I guess that could be moved. Now, did the Brownies want the first, Pam? Is that in the email that you sent me? They
Yes.
wanted the first. So, okay, so the Brownies, well, but they're being here during the day.
yeah,
So
they're
you could
done
tell
in
them
at
to-
30.
What else was the first? Oh, the craft.
The craft fair at Pine Grove, which actually not a lot of our staff.
So you're gonna come
Yeah,
down.
we
The staff
only
wanted to go
have
with.
three, yeah, we only have three that live in Brown.
I don't think
It was huge.
I know, so we could do it the first, well, yeah, we could do it first and start setting up after the Brownies. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure the Brownies get the room, but anyway.
Oh, because
right?
Okay, so one way or the other, there'll be an event in the room, the first, but we could have it at 2.
We want this to be there, so we have 2 minutes.
Yeah, so. So does everyone agree December 1st at 2?
Attendance was me.
Sounds good to me. Is this something we're going to invite Rob to as well?
Would you invite Rob up?
I don't think so. It's like a morale thing,
Yeah.
for our current staff.
Yep. And I like the idea of being able to have friends come too. It's good to meet other people rather just once a year if the chili cook-off. People to see others. So that way, where we don't see them, at least with me, on a regular basis, be able to remember the names and faces. And then with the staff, not every time we come in, obviously, can't see every single one of them. So really nice to see everybody together at the same time.
A lot of the staff don't see each other.
Yeah.
No, the staff are, yeah, that's true.
Yes.
That's true. All right,
All right. Relinquish the floor.
moving on. Just a reminder for those of us who are on the long-range planning, which currently is myself, Michelle, and Erin, that we need to start working on that. Recruiting volunteers, establishing a timeline. If anybody knows of volunteers in the community, good representatives of the community that would be willing to help us plan for the next 5 years, please bear that in mind and let us know.
You know, I did a little reading on the requirements for long-range planning. It doesn't necessarily have to be redone. Our current one can be updated. The last one we did was for 5 years. The BLC, the Board of Library Commissioners recommend you either do, a 3-year, 4-year, or 5-year plan. We did a 5-year. We can update it. We can go through the whole planning process again. We can also let the current one expire, but we need to have a new one in place within 2 years. They don't recommend you update if you are lapsed, exactly, because then you haven't done the process in 7 years. So, another option would be to do an update for 3 years and then do the whole process again in 3 years.
So by updating, we're just extending our current one? Okay, that would be good.
There's a cost associated with doing a whole new one, isn't there? Because isn't it, aren't the meetings moderated by third party?
But
Yes,
yes,
a
well,
volunteer, used to be a voluntary third party.
Oh, okay.
yeah. The
So
last,
you would just
the
pick
last time we
someone
did
from the
it,
community to do it.
the consultants who helped us were from the Northeast Massachusetts Regional Library System, which
Okay.
doesn't exist anymore. But the Massachusetts Library System still helps.
Okay.
In fact, they have, little 2-hour workshops on what to expect with long-range planning periodically, and I've been keeping an eye on those to see if there's one nearby us anytime soon.
So should we schedule a meeting of them on your committees?
Probably, yes. But we can do that, offline. Is anybody else interested in being on that committee?
I might be. I'm holding back till I hear about all of them.
Until you hear about what?
All of them.
Oh, okay.
Overcommit.
All right, that's fine. I can include you on the email.
Okay.
The only other subcommittee, oh, sorry, 2 others. The one other subcommittee, building and grounds, is there any movement forward on the statue repair for the children's garden?
I think that it was my action item, that I was gonna call the place that made it for us. And I actually spent about half an hour today looking through old invoices going back to 2004, and I could not find it. So hopefully they have a record of what they did for us,
Okay.
but I will call them. I don't even know, I'm gonna call them and say, okay, you made us this statue somewhere around 2006, and
Depending on their records.
depending,
record
yeah,
keeping.
hopefully they can look us up by customer and find it. If not, it might be more difficult.
Okay.
But I was hoping to just get the invoice, that way I could, you know,
Yeah.
I'd know the materials it was made of, and have specs for it, and didn't find it.
All right. Aaron, is there any update at all on the disaster recovery? And actually, speaking of the disaster recovery, we need to add the new folks that are in there.
Yeah, I guess I would need some new names to update that section. I haven't made any recent updates to the site.
We should probably plan a meeting of that committee as well, just to see where we stand with that and what needs to be done. Will you call it?
Yes, email.
Is it just you and me?
No, I'm on
Oh,
it.
Jay, that's right, Jay's on there. All right. Report from the Friends meeting last week. Briefly, from what I recall, they're trying to plan the chili cook-off, but we are without a venue. With the church having problems with their septic system, we cannot use that hall. We've investigated pretty much everything else there is in town. It's either not big enough, not available, whatever. That is the largest venue in town. So they are madly scrambling, trying to find a place for the cook-off, as opposed to trying to take a year off and skip a year. So if anyone has suggestions, it looks like we're going to have to take it out of town. There's still a few places they're looking at, but if anyone has thoughts, I believe the church held like 300 people. I think that was the capacity. And I know we used to make 300 tickets. So
And sell nearly all.
and sell nearly all of them. So yeah, any help to the Friends on that front would be appreciated if they can come up with a place. It's generally the first Saturday in November, which would be, the 3rd of November, but as of right now, that's up in the air a little bit because we have to first find out what town it's going to be in and then get a liquor license from that town and, you know, try to make that all work in a very short time. So, that was a pretty big focus the other night. What else?
Is the venue, or does the venue need to be no cost? Or what are?
It would be preferred, but we have paid for the church hall. It would have to be minimal cost, let's say. I did think today of a couple places that I could call, but I haven't had time to call them yet. That are not too far away. They're looking at the Elvis Hall in Newburyport. And Julie had a couple places she was looking at. Somewhere in Newbury, I don't even know.
Newbury Fire Department too, I think.
Yeah, that one wasn't as large as they thought, too. It's actually kind of hard to find a hall that hold as many people as we sell chili to. Michelle's already proposing dates for book collections for next spring's book fair, book sale.
Another thing that my friends talked about is, I don't know if you've noticed, that they're not sending their monthly newsletter.
This is true too.
They had some technical difficulties. The software they were using just kind of broke, and they're researching alternative ways of delivering that monthly newsletter.
So due dates will resume going again. Is there anything else? That's all the strict things.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to run through some action items that I made note of during the meeting.
I have two announcements. I don't know where announcements go. Do they go at the end?
I haven't got them on the agenda, but sure.
I have some documents here from the Massachusetts Library Trustees Association, and I believe I also have an email that I can forward regarding their annual conference. Actually, this is a joint conference between the Massachusetts Friends of Libraries and Massachusetts Library Trustees Association.
I think we got it.
Yeah, I got an email.
Oh, you did? Okay, so, okay, because the Board of Library Commissioner, whoever, because I turn in your emails. Okay, so you got an email about that, but the new people probably didn't. So if you want to look at these brochures, they're here. And then I also have MLS, I mentioned before, Massachusetts Library System is the state organization that does continuing education, advocacy. They do some shared purchasing, some databases, and consulting. They are planning a library trustee orientation. The description is, as a trustee, you have taken on two big jobs. The first is to serve as a tireless advocate for your library, working to help it become bigger and better. The second job is to learn about your library, about your community and its needs, about the laws and state programs affecting your library, and about the issues facing libraries today. Cindy Roach, Head of Library Advisory and Development at the Board of Library Commissioners, and Mary King, Advisor at MLS, will introduce you to the roles of trustees, library directors, and friends, and will describe the resources available to help you in your role as library trustee. Library directors and future trustees are also welcome to join us. And I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that it's not necessarily new trustees, it's open to anyone. And that is on Wednesday, November 14th at the Langley Adams Library in Groveland. There's actually, they're doing it 4 different times, but because they're statewide, it's everywhere. So the closest one to us is Groveland.
What time on the 14th?
I believe it's evening, it's like 6:30 to 8:30, but I'm not sure. But I will also email this, it's like an invitation to register.
Joe and I actually attended one of those back in the day. It was pretty interesting.
Is there any cost with that?
There's no cost, no. Just your travel expenses.
Groveland doesn't have one.
Yeah, it's pretty much right down the road. So, okay, those are my announcements. Thank you.
Okay, great. How about this for the future? Our next meeting is October 16th. The Friends next meeting is the Tuesday before that, October 9th. If anybody wants to attend the Friends meeting, you can participate there. And other than that, did somebody please make a motion to adjourn? 9:21? Oh, I didn't go through this, sorry, we jumped into that. I'm going to check on rain barrels and check with the Friends about participation in the staff appreciation luncheon. And I'm going to email Aaron and Michelle on range planning. If everybody would please consider the wish list and sort of prioritize that in their minds, keeping in mind Pam's priorities on there too. If everybody would think about volunteering to be nominated as vice chair, we are minus the vice chair since Joe stepped down, so we are in need of vice chair. Pam is going to check with other libraries to see if anyone's using rain barrels and set a date for road cleaning and let us know. And contact Michael Scher's family and call the statue company. Michelle and Pam will work together on gathering volunteers for planning the rally reads. Michelle will investigate costs for our staff appreciation luncheon, and Aaron will update the disaster recovery plan and email Jacob and myself to set up a meeting. Did I miss anything? Anyone remembers? Actually, I didn't put you on. Just didn't read it. I put you on as meeting. Okay. All right. Now, I have a motion to adjourn at 9:22 p.m.
So.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
That was a lot in 2 hours.